We attract to us what we fear. The chaos and fear in your brain is getting out of your head somehow and showing up in your life somehow. I don't ask me to explain it all, okay? But that's how it works. The chaos and the fear in your brain is getting out of your brain and showing up in your life. Fearful thoughts eventually manifest themselves in your life. Everything you do matters. Every thought, every actions, okay? It all matters. Most people think that their life is just a consequence of luck or karma or whatever, okay? It's not. Everyone, okay, life is a perfect reflection of what fills their mind. I know what's going on in your brain, your mind, because I look at your life. Your fearful thoughts trigger fearful emotions. Those fearful emotions lead to unhealthy actions. It's just kind of the way it works, okay? I wish it was different, okay? But it's just not, okay? You created the results that mirrored the fearful actions, okay? You said, hey, I got these fearful thoughts, okay? I'm going to now create the actions, okay, that mirror that, okay? You did that. But the cool thing about you doing it is you can stop doing it or you can change it, okay? If you change your thoughts, you change the way you feel. Okay, I can have fear, I can have doubt, I can have discouragement, I can have thoughts of all that stuff, and it'll translate to how I feel. Okay, if I'm focusing on those things, if I'm not putting good stuff in my brain, okay, then I'm going to change how I feel. Okay, I'm gonna feel defeated, I'm gonna feel disappointed, I'm gonna feel discouraged, I'm gonna feel like a loser, I'm gonna feel okay because of my thoughts. But the really, really, really cool thing is if I change my thoughts, I change my feelings. And if I change my feelings, I change my actions. Okay. It's really cool stuff. Okay. So I'm just challenging everybody, okay, to go through this process. Maybe 15 times a day, every hour, maybe you've got to do it for a while. Maybe you don't know what you're putting in your brain because you're not analyzing it on a moment by moment basis. But somehow, okay, we got to put good thoughts in there. And I'm suggesting by reading, I'm suggesting by your affirmations, I'm suggesting by your goals, okay, if you create the systems to do that, okay, good stuff's going to happen. Okay, and you might say, well, Chris, that's a lot of structure. Okay, I'm not a structured person. Who cares? Okay. I'm not a warm, fuzzy person, but I've learned to encourage people. Okay. I'm an introvert. I'm not a life of the party, but I've learned to be the life of the party when I need to. Okay. We're not talking about like you got to be structured every moment of the day, but you do need to have a structured time where you're making sure your thoughts are what they should be. Change your thoughts, change the way you feel. We all know that. No one would disagree with that. Change the way you feel, change your actions. No one disagree with that. Okay. If I feel lethargic, I feel like I'm sitting on the couch. Okay. I'm probably not going to do much. But if I change how I feel, if I challenge myself, if I get focused on what I want to accomplish, I do all the things that I need to do, then I'm going to change I change my results. It's that simple. Okay. I'm not saying it's easy. Okay. I would never tell you that success and all this stuff that we go through is easy. What I'm saying to you is, okay, you can accomplish it. You can do it. It's simple. We control our thoughts. Our conscious brain can only hold one thought at a time. It's a reason why a million times over they've proven you can't multitask, because when you multitask, you go back and forth between a conscious thought. You don't have two thoughts at the same time. You go back and forth. Well, I'm challenging you. You cannot have a negative thought and a positive thought at the exact same time. So all you have to do is make a decision to change your thoughts. Okay. So start with the process of eliminating destructive and limiting thoughts. Okay. Like I said, I would write down, okay, thoughts that come in your brain. I'd write them down and maybe I'd put an X through them if they weren't good, but I'd have the thing I was going to replace with them. Okay. If you got kids, Okay. If you had a negative thought, you could start thinking positive thoughts about all the hard work you're going to do, the great, how it's going to show up in their life. Okay. If you have parents, if you got a dream car, if you got a dream house, if you got whatever it is, put those things in your brain as a replacement of any negative limiting beliefs. Okay. Replace those thoughts with where you're thinking about an exceptional life. I think a pastor once told me, feelings should be endured, feelings should be enjoyed, but never ever employed. Okay, your feelings should dictate your future. Your thoughts should dictate your future. Okay, focus on your thoughts, and that will change your feelings. Okay, just a conclusion here. Angela Duckworth, maybe you know that name, maybe you don't. She won the MacArthur Genius Grant for unlocking the psychology of achievement. Okay, so pretty smart person. I think she taught at Harvard, went to Harvard. Yeah, I mean, one of those wicked smart people. Okay. And she said her kind of what she got this genius grant for is basically grit is okay. She says grit is what you need. If you're going to succeed, grit is what you need. And she said it comes basically in two flavors. Okay. One is self-control. By the way, you're not born with grit. Okay, you can get grit anytime. It's a decision. Okay, but she said grit is two flavors. One is self-control, your ability to say no or your ability to say yes, which is purely based on your thoughts. Okay, if I think about a donut over and over and over, guess where I'm going? Okay, I'm gonna go find myself a donut. Okay, so your thoughts control your actions. Remember, we just talked about that. Your thoughts can create enough emotion in you, either positive or negatively, to change your actions. And number two flavor of grit is your ability to sustain interest and effort to complete a long-term goal. Now, to give you a kind of a scorecard here, okay, kind of the grit score, okay, what she was asked to do was the West Point, okay, I think it was like 1,200 West Point freshmen every year, cadets, okay, and the military had this very elaborate testing system, judging income candidates and cadets and predicting whether they survive, West Point, the physical demands, okay, the mental demands, leadership, all that kind of stuff, okay, and basically Angela came in there and said, okay, well, you don't need to do all that crap. Okay. You can just ask a few questions. Okay. Ask them if they think they're a hard worker. Okay. I mean, there was a number more questions but her test took all of 5 minutes where the stuff that the military was doing. And they found out, they found out, okay, her tests were significantly better at predicting who was going to go through the program and be the stellar West Point, graduate. He basically said, your hustle is your trajectory. Your grit is your trajectory. And you control that. Remember, let me go back to the two components, self-control, okay? And to be very frank, I know a lot about self-control, okay? I used to not have any, and now I'm pretty good at it, okay? But I don't care who you're talking about, who you're talking to. They don't have self-control all day, every day with every action, every temptation, everything. That doesn't exist, okay? What I'm talking about, and I think what she's talking about, is self-control on the main areas, okay? The things that are critical. And not self-control all day, maybe self-control for 2 or 3 hours, okay, to make sure the most important thing gets done. I'm not going to go down the path of the one thing, but I think most of you have read that book, okay? So that, okay, every single one of you can do that. Easy not to do, okay? And the other is sustained effort or interest and effort over a long term, which we talk about that every week. Okay, in Primerica. This is not a sprint, okay? You kind of got to add it like a sprint, okay? But it's a marathon. It's a marathon for wealth. So let me just, in conclusion, tell you a story, okay? Probably have told it to you before, but I just kind of want to get inside your head today. And the story is about a carpenter. He's an elderly carpenter, had reached the age where he was basically ready to retire. He told his employer, who was a contractor of his plans to retire, spend time with his family. He would miss the paycheck, but he felt like it was time. The employer, the contractor, was just very, very grateful for this individual's work. Very, very grateful. Probably had made massive amounts of money from that individual's work, and so on. And the contractor was sorry to see him go, but he said, "What I'd like you to do before you leave, just as a favor to me, I'd like you to build one more house." And the carpenter said, "Yeah," but in time, it was easy to see that his heart wasn't in the work. He resorted maybe to a little bit shoddy workmanship, used inferior materials. Okay. It was an unfortunate way to end a dedicated career, because that's not the way he'd spent the last 30 years. When the carpenter finished the work, the employer came to inspect the house. And at that time, he handed the key to the house to the carpenter. He said, "This is your house. It's my gift to you." Carpenter was shocked, but also a little ashamed. If he had only known he was building his own house, he would have done it so differently. And so it is with you and I. We build our lives a day at a time, often putting less than our best into the building. Then, with a shock, okay, at some point later on in life, we realize we have to live in the house we have built. If we could do it all over again, how many times have we thought that if I could do it all over again? Well, guess what? You're going to be saying, if I could do it all over again, you're going to be saying that, okay, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, about what you're doing today. If I could do it all over again, I would do it so much different. But we don't get to go back. You're the carpenter. Each day you hammer a nail, you place a board, you erect a wall. Life is a do-it-yourself project. Your attitude and your choices that you make today will build the house that you live in tomorrow. I strongly suggest you build it wisely. Thank you.